I've got some troublemaker.
They got candy. Look out, breaker.
Look out, 10-4.
Before we get started, David, you have a look through some of them there. There's a blast from the past in there, I'll tell you. John Smith.
What a legend.
Yeah. I'm Chris King. I started here, when was it? 1988. June time, was it? Because you started the day before me, didn't you? June, was it May, June time?
Yeah, something like that.
1988.
David Albert Cant, aged 80.
Or 21.
You're 21 and a bit.
Yeah.
Mick Layzell, I'm 87. That must be 1988.
Yeah, on the same time as me, wasn't
Roughly that. I mean, I started the day before Chris.
it? You started on a Wednesday, I started on a Thursday.
Yeah.
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 Sacked on the Friday. I used to be groundwork, but I was just plant and labour. Then I started supplying in 80. I was about 84, 85, so I'd be one there for a while.
You was building in the 70s though, weren't you?
Oh yeah,
74,
yeah.
60s then.
I went subcontracting in 67.
Mm.
I remember coming home a few years ago. I was working out at Baddingham, that's the other side of Framingham. And I had me, my son-in-law, two of my son-in-laws with me in my Mazda, and we were listening to Radio Awful, and all of a sudden this advert come on. If you go down Woodstead Road, looking for a builder's load, you'll find it all at Collier and Catchpole. I still come straight home here, all first thing in the morning night, to come in and sing it, you know, because I hadn't heard it before.
That was, yeah.
So they must have paid for the royalties of that. Who was the old singer who used to sing out? He do Dad's Army songs.
Was it?
Clive
Dunn?
No, he was in it. No, this was the actual songs they sing, you know.
Mr. Collie was one of the best.
He was the gentleman, wasn't he?
I've had
the old man.
And his assistant manager was...
Yeah. He looked
John
after
Smith.
workers, he
John.
looked after everybody.
Yeah.
He was a proper chance, I tell you.
Yeah.
Big Elf was the
Find it
bouncer.
better.
Huh?
Big Elf was the bouncer.
Elf was here, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Since I left school, I reckon I've had 30 jobs, and this one was my best ever.
Yes.
So I mean that. Everybody with the staff here, everybody, yard, upstairs, customers, 90% of customers.
You always get awkward back, don't you?
Yeah,
Not me.
90% of customers.
You couldn't, as cheesy as it sounds, you couldn't work for a better bloke. And he knew every employee, and he spoke to every employee, didn't he?
There's one thing Roy was good at as well. If there was any fighting in the yard,
Yeah.
where he knew fighting in the yard or
Upset.
he was at the gate.
Yeah.
I'll give him that. One or two people stacked over that.
Yeah.
Did he?
Because you do get some
Yes,
dressed,
he did.
you know.
Yeah. If you played up, look out at the gate.
Yeah. I can't remember the first time I come in here, but I used to love coming in here. You know, I only lived at 8 Ash Green, or Lexington at the time.
So you could rank on the road.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. I remember one day I was struggling because you struggled for money years ago with people don't pay you. That's what bring a little person down. And also the VAT was up, the civil servants were on strike. And I had five lots of VAT owing me, which was thousands. And I come in here and I was struggling, you know, I never thought of an overdraft. The last thing, I didn't know nothing about overdrafts, never thought of it. Anyhow, I came in here and I see John Smith, the yard manager, and he put his arm on. I said, John, I'm struggling to pay you this month. I said, I'll probably be all right in a couple of weeks, you know. He said, dear boy, if you're my only worry about payment, he said, you know, he sort of did me. So at least, but then I made an appointment with the bank. Never seen a bank manager in my life. And Mrs. Maid put a suit on, went down to the corner, Lexington, you know, NatWest, and went in there and I said, you know, I've got all the details, all the VAT, what was owed to me, and did me a bank statements and stuff. And he said the same, what are you worried about? He said, you've never heard of an overdraft. I said, what's an overdraft? He said, well, I never did use it. He just set up a facility, you know, to do it. Because they paid me within 10 days. I went back to work and I got the whole lot back in 10 months. Bloody good job and all.
They were like that, Collies, though, weren't there? 2 or 3 people in that time struggled.
Wonderful firm.
Yeah. Because the old man used to do a lot on trust. We used to call him the old man behind his back. We called him the governor, didn't we? Call it. Yeah, he was like that.
Even if you come round the yard, he'd stop and talk to you.
Oh, yeah.
Call you
Oh,
by your first name.
yeah, oh yeah.
But he
Yeah, he used to come
looked
round.
after everybody, good
Yeah.
times and bad. Yeah.
Yeah. We nearly had his eyebrows off once, though, didn't we? We nearly had his eyebrows off once. When with the fire bin over the back. Yeah, we sat there. We had a fire. We had a tea room, but you didn't go in there during the day. So they were really strict on your brakes, which was right. But we had a hut we'd built over the back with a 45-gallon drum as a fire, didn't we? And he's like, we're in it one day because it's raining. I thought, I'll chuck the old tin of paint in there. Chuck this old tin of paint, he'll come trumping around the corner. Roy Collier. So he stood by this big wall, his hands saying, come and have a look at this gun, what we've done over here, come and have a look around here. I was trying to get him away. And I finally prized him away from this scene because he'd sit there and talk to you for half an hour, wouldn't he? And we got up to the ramp round here and this bloody tin went off. Crying, could have been had his head over it because he had big eyebrows. So
Yeah,
because he's magistrate, didn't he? He had really big eyebrows.
Yeah, it's proper.
They've had to go off.
Proper.
What happened?
Oh, yeah.
What the hell was that? I don't know, Governor, something's gone in that tin.
You could say.
Mick made me do it, he's older than me. That was a proper family owned business.
You went into places like Rums and they'd just ignore you as though. I remember once I went looking for some timber, funny, about 2.5 by 2 or something. That was a very unusual. I'd got a council job and you had to use what they specified. And the architect was an idiot, you know. So, of course, I went up there and I found some. I said, can I have some? I want about 200 metres. He said, well, I've only got 7 or 8 metres in 2 lengths. I said, I forget so many metres, a lot more than that. So I said, can you saw us some, mate? He said, what do you think we've got time to waste on you? I said, I'll tell you what, mate, I've just ordered a load of block pavers, special ones. You can tell them to stick it up our They look, yeah, used to look forward to coming to college.
Yeah. But it was a giggle, wasn't it?
I knew I was going to get served right away. Bloody stand there and ignore you.
Right, when it first started, that was mainly bricks, blocks, and clay. When they used to use a lot of clay, and we never done timber.
No.
We'd done loads of LBC bricks because they were the only thing they were building with then. Didn't have none of the imports or anything like that. A lot of curb, gravel boards, posts, and slabs. It was pretty basic, really, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But it was mainly heavy side pipes, all that sort of stuff. I mean, we used to go through Arctic loads of bricks, pipes, chamber rings, all that because they used it then. You know, they used concrete. It's all plastic now.
It's changed a lot in the yard, hasn't it?
Crikey.
We were here, Chris.
Yeah.
I remember when I was yard foreman, I used to mark up all the bricks, what they were, didn't I?
Yeah.
Every single. So customers come in and know what they're
They
looking
can look
for.
at.
Otherwise, they'd be coming up asking you.
Yeah.
So that was a good idea. But a lot of this now as well.
Because all the old clay was on the ground on sand.
Yeah.
Wasn't it? Remember, it was all spread out on the ground.
Yeah.
It wasn't on pallets. It was just laid out on the ground. Wasn't it?
All the fittings?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember, there's a picture here actually somewhere of it.
It used to be at the front. Along the front there.
There used to be a picture in there of it. I don't know where it is. Because we had sand bins over the back as well because the sand was all loose, wasn't it? We used to have to load it up.
Yeah, we had all the sand loose. You could come in and get come and get a bucket full of whatever.
Remember old Georgie?
Georgie Rook.
Georgie Rook.
In charge of the sand and ballast.
But old George, when he was here, the sharp sand bay, because you built them bays.
Yeah.
But one of the walls had a double wall, but it was set back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And George used to hit that wall every time. He'd go roaring in with that bucket. He'd hit that bit of wall because you couldn't see it, and his glasses and his radio would fly out. So he had walkie-talkies, and he'd back up and run his radio over, wouldn't he? Honestly, went from working in the yard to yard supervisor foreman, then yard manager, and then up to branch support manager, where I worked between all 3 branches.
When I started on fork trucks there, I was on it for 2 years, one of Chris.
Yeah.
Made me up to foreman, and things got sorted out. I sorted things out a bit.
That was good, mate. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's a progression, wasn't it? If you put the work in and you made yourself willing and you proved that you wanted to do
you had some
something.
good blokes here, didn't you?
We did
You
have
had
good
a couple
blokes.
of fruit.
He did.
The majority were.
There's a couple
out of the way, then.
There's a couple of them sitting here.
I mentioned no names. You've got to get on with customers as well.
Yeah.
That's what I like. If it's hello, mate, how are you?
Don't be shy.
Not what you want.
Yeah. So we're all ex-building trade.
You meet them in places like this.
Because you do,
A
yeah.
lot of people, I did when I was out on the truck.
I mean, every Christmas we used to go around the Rovers Club. They used to rent because we used to have a party here, and they all come upstairs and we'll have a beer and whatnot and drink, and we play darts and ball. But then they used to have the Rovers Club, and we used to go around there. Yeah, it was good.
We still do. I built it. I would hate to be working on the site now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't last 5 minutes.
Especially when you get your water boot caught in a wire and fall in the cement, Dave.
Yeah. And all I'd got was a box of nails, and I wanted to give it to the performer, but I couldn't find him, my foreman, on the side. So obviously I went to the compound, and as I got out my van, the foreman come out of his office and out the gates. Where's your hard hat? Where's your high vis and that? I said, hang on, mate. I said, I've got a box of nails. I said, I don't think I need a hard hat for a box of nails. I said, right now, the only thing was going to hit me here is bloody pigeon. I said, you know. And he took to me, and I ended up moving then there for all our sites in the southeastern area, moving. I used to get back there for £100 a day.
Mm. I remember when we got the first rear mount crane lorry. I think we were the first merchant in Essex to use a rear mount, and I'd always wanted to get a rear mount. I kept on and on about rear mount when I was driving, and finally they bought one. But I remember I my Collier coming out and say, "I see you got your own way," and I said, "I don't think I got my own way. You paid for it." There's quite a few, but unfortunately, they're not the sort of thing you'd want to say on tape. There was quite a few things. We used to get up some things, didn't we? Get people into trouble.
In them days.
You could get away with in them days, couldn't you?
Well,
within
I
reason.
remember if somebody's working in the house, you go in there when they weren't looking and nail their boots if they got boots, and they put slippers on. If they have carpenters or painters or something, and they put soft shoes on to work in, you'd nail the boots to the floor so when they went to go home, they couldn't get the shoes. Or put the bike up on a flagpole. We did for breakers, didn't we?
Yeah.
Put his
Oh,
bike
for
up.
Andy.
We
Yeah.
put his bike up on a flagpole.
Yeah.
We did have a bike. He said, "I can't go home."
We did have a spate of locking people with locking lockers because all the keys were the same. And old Georgie Rock, bless his heart, he always thought it was his, didn't he? And I undone it one day and I swapped the locks round to mine to his. So he come in trying to undo the lock and he couldn't do it. And we turned it round and, oh, poor old boy. And we nailed Les Knights, he was a foreman. We nailed his shut, he had a wooden one, didn't he? And he shook it so hard, a block sample come off and top nearly crowned him. Little kiddie things, really, weren't they? Just like
like Chris said, you can get, can't say it.
No.
Being silly.
Yeah.
Having good times.
I mean, can't sack us now, Mick. Somewhere it might be further back when they put that took the out of me that hung an old tractor tyre up. It says Chris's play area. Lee done that. I think it was about 2000 that opened, that finished it. Because old man Collie never lived to see it open, did he? We was in the tea room once, you remember, Mick? And there was something on there, something in the paper about ghosts. When Sturdy turns up, asked if he's seen a ghost. So I bet he says he has. And he come in, didn't he? We sat down a couple of times. I said, Dickie boy, have you ever seen a ghost? He said, no, I haven't. He said, my sister's seen two. Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah, I can hear him saying that.
Sure.
But if you said to him, "Look, I've got an awkward job for you,"
Oh, yeah, we'll get it in there.
I said, "I don't know if you're capable or can do it. I'll get you anywhere. You get it, put it right where you
He
want.
would, yeah.
Yeah. Buddy, drive through the mud.
Take the cab off the lorry, but you get it there.
Yeah. Nothing was too much bother with him.
Nah,
He was a good old boy. The beauty of this place was you could get in at 7 o'clock, because Jeffrey used to get it here, didn't he? Open up 7 o'clock. You worked at London, you didn't want to be leaving much later than 7:10, or else you get all the traffic. You've still got some, but
I mean, whether talking to the lads downstairs now, when the cement used to come in 50-kilo bags, didn't they?
yeah.
They used to come in on cardboards and we had to take the floor and tip them onto pallets.
Yeah.
It was all loose on a board. Yeah, it spilled money. But when you first learned, you spilled a few, didn't it?
Even on sites years ago, when we had mixers with big electric shovels.
Oh, yeah, we had them on
Bucket
my gurneys.
Yeah.
Batches.
Your
Batching
plant,
plant,
batch,
yeah.
boy. and you'd have, say, 20 tonne of cement, and you'd have to load half of it in a shed, and you'd have to walk with it, and because that's all right, there's a load of boys on the site, you'd bet who could carry two, I'd do three, and they'd take three at a time. I just carried a single one, I weren't daft with you. Playing up to them.
Yeah. Oh, remember Keith Smith?
Yeah, yeah.
A woman come here one Saturday, didn't she? And she went and paid for a couple of bags of cement. And Keith was all muscles, wasn't he? All big. And he got 2 bags. And she lifted her tailgate up in the car, got in the car and shut the door. Because Smithy's walking up with these 2 bags. Stern, he shut the tailgate of his car. And he stood there with 200, 50 kilo bags of cement. He said, lady!
I thought you were going to say a bag broke or something, or he tripped or something.
No, he was shouting off to this woman carrying 2, and Sterney shut the cherry. Sterney just put
Tell you what, you carry 2. You had there 100 weight, weren't they?
Because it was,
Yeah, you're right.
100 kilos.
I moaned like hell when they went to the 25 kilos. I said, because that put the price up, didn't it?
Yeah.
But best thing I ever done.
Well, it's all
You
25
live
kilo now, isn't it?
So when you're behind a mixer and the bottom ones have been down there a week and they start to go off and they're hard and they're solid and they don't give. But you had to use them.
She did. Yeah. Because when it started, it was just a little hut over the back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And that was the main office. I
The
think
Lenny
it was,
Batram was in the office when I used to first come in here.
yeah. And I think that was Cook and Long built that, didn't they? That extension, which is still there.
Yeah, it did.
And then the shop and warehouse was an old shed thing, wasn't it? Tin roof shed.
Yeah.
With shutter doors, didn't it? Had 3 shutter doors down the side. You wouldn't have survived just on how it was then, just bricks, blocks and stuff, because a lot of it they don't use now. But we've still got clay over there, what was here when I started.
Where else can you go and get it?
Exactly. I mean, I think they still sell bits. I mean, obviously,
You still got some in more sheds at home.
I bet you have.
My missus phoned me up. I was working at Saffron Walden. She said, Dave, you want to get home? She said, I've spoke to Mr. Collier. He's going to send 3 lorries down because they will get, the foreman had phoned my missus to say they were getting thrown off that night. So I went down and this Yorkie bloke said, hey, lad, we're a Yorkshire firm. I said, lad, you can't come through there. I said, can't I? I drove right through the barriers. So I drove right through there. I only had an old car. It didn't matter, but another knock or 2. Trouble is, I couldn't get out.
No, it's because me and Dick
you would have
I
said.
got out,
Yeah, you got out.
and then Dick reversed up over Ivan's car. He reversed so hard he didn't see Ivan's car behind him, hit the bonnet of Ivan's car, and he drove out. No, Rodney got out a bit, and me and Dick got stuck. That's it, because they wouldn't let us out. But
Because we had thousands of pounds worth of stuff, and we were going to lose that. Well, I thought so. To carry on the story, he said, "What?" Because there was me, my 2 son-in-laws, Gordon and his 2 brothers. And anyhow, mate, he said, well, look, calm down, Dave, and come back tomorrow. You 2, you and Gordon, who's your partner. So we went back, and I used to hate going there with diesel and that, but I let them have 2 blokes, and we did finish, and we laid all the drains, so I did get paid. They even paid me retention.
Well, I think for me, the work in here, to be honest, is, that's allowed me to retire early because of the pension the old man set up for us, Roy Collier. Final salary pension. I mean,
before they had the government one.
That was, yeah. And I was 58 when I retired. Dan Rims always said, the best thing you need a pension. And that's one of the things that the new people take the pension out because, working. I did like working there. It's been a lovely place to work. And it's been really nice people to work with. Management from before, right the way through from, working with Roy Collier, who took me on, John Smith, who was the manager. Kevin, when Kevin was here, Kevin Jones, he was a good laugh, had a good giggle with him. And obviously with Tim for the last one. Here's to another 50 years, certainly.
There's 1 yard I did when we come in.
Because the last 50 years has been
coming in here, Mill was going to get served and Mill was going to have a laugh with somebody else.
Yeah. The last 50 years has been a blast, hasn't it, Kenny?
Well,
It's been a blast. There's a lot of memories there, a lot of people who are not here now.
Yeah.
There's quite a few who are not here, unfortunately, but
good employees.
Yeah.
Good times.
It was,
You only get good blokes if you're good to them.
That's right. You're dead right there,
Right,
mate.
isn't it?
That is, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. No, I think it's a good trade to get into. I mean, they're always going to want builders merchants. I mean, there's lots of stuff. It is
money to buy houses.
Yeah.
But what's the most important thing in life? Heaven's the roof over your head, isn't it? Really, that's